I more than doubled my banking salary in just 18 months. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it, and hopefully you can pull it off as well. My most recent banking job was with Morgan Stanley Sales and Trading Desk as a desk strat. Now what that means is, while I didn't actually perform the sales and trading duties, I had to understand the trades, what the traders did, how they executed their trades, and how the salespeople interacted with their clients. I would then automate the processes, come up with new algorithms and new metrics. I found that a lot of fun. It was technically very rewarding, great team, great atmosphere, great energy. I sat with the salespeople and got paid really well. But that's not how my career began. In fact, I actually started in one of the least desirable roles in all of banking because I knew I didn't stand a chance. Most of my coaching clients have just unrealistic expectations. They go to these blogs, these websites, these forums, they read about investment banking, equity research, sales and trading, and they automatically want one of those jobs. They want to make $150,000 straight out of school, and they just go for it. And the reality is, most of them are not qualified. And what qualified means is all strange, but since everyone has the same stock resume, ultimately, the individuals from the Ivy League schools with the 4.0 GPAs and the best internships are just going to beat you out on getting those entry-level roles. I recognized that pretty early on. I actually had another issue as well, which is that my master's degree was a financial engineering degree, which put me in a very odd bracket. I wasn't nearly as smart as any of the quants I knew. So applying for quant type roles, such as this strat role, it didn't make sense because on the interviews, I just wouldn't perform as well technically. On the other hand, the investment banking, equity research, sales and trading roles, I just wasn't from an elite college. I went to a city college. My GPA wasn't that great. And I had an internship from pretty much an unknown firm. So how do you beat the elite at their own game? So the answer is you don't. So I improvised. Through sheer networking, I landed an interview for a risk IT business analyst role at Morgan Stanley. I knew no one in my master's program was interested in being a risk IT business analyst. If you think about it in terms of salary in the US, I have no doubt that I was the bottom 5% of all associates paid at the company. That's what happens when you're in a super back office role and you're not generating any money for the bank. That's just the reality of it. But I wanted that role because I knew once I got into Morgan Stanley, once I got exposure to the finance, once I got to meet people, things would just work out. Once I joined the business analyst team, I had two goals: make more money and do more interesting work. I won't go too much into detail about my networking shenanigans, but what I will tell you is that there was no external help. Purely by my own cold emails, cold messaging, reaching out to people blindly. I met with many, many directors in Morgan Stanley, one of whom would ultimately become my boss in the sales and trading team. I loved him. I found the team really interesting. We sat down, we had a conversation. It was super cool. I was really excited about it. But the reality is, the senior managers in the desk weren't interested in hiring an IT business analyst to join their sales and trading team. Typically, to move into sales and trading, you need client-facing experience, and I did not have that. After that realization set in, I decided to leave Morgan Stanley. Now, one of the wonderful things about working at a brand name firm is that recruiters are constantly reaching out to you for hedge funds or second or third tier firms for any position just because they want a Morgan Stanley employee to join them. So I decided I was going to finally open up my heart and listen to these recruiters. And very shortly after, a recruiter reached out to me. State Street is looking for a client-facing risk analyst. Well, that was great because first of all, I wasn't really in risk, even though I was kind of branding myself as a risk analyst. I was in risk IT. And secondly, client-facing is exactly what I needed. So without thinking twice, I jumped in, took the job, which was a 38% base salary increase for me, which was phenomenal. Now, I wasn't making so much in the beginning, but still 38% is fantastic. And from the moment I joined that job, I set a timer on my phone, on my calendar, for every 6 months to remind me to reach out to this manager at Morgan Stanley on the strats team. And every 6 months from when I got that job at State Street, my phone would buzz. I'd shoot him an email. Hey, let's grab a coffee. I did this twice, the 6-month mark and at the 1-year mark. Both times we had a great casual conversation. I didn't ask for a job. We just caught up and that was it. At the 18-month mark, I didn't even get a chance to send my email because he called me and he said, hey, my associate just resigned. Are you still interested in joining our team? He knew from all the times I reached out to him that I was still passionate about it. He knew that I now had client-facing experience and I was handling risk of pension funds every single day. And I went down to the pension funds and met with the traders. He knew this. So I was officially qualified for the job. And almost immediately after I got the offer. The cool thing is, because I actually was interviewing at another bank and had a paper offer in hand, I was able to counter his offer and I ended up getting a 40% base increase again. So all in, aside from the fact that I went from a job that I didn't find too interesting to a super interesting role on the sales and trading team at Morgan Stanley, my all in was nearly 2.5 times greater than just 18 months earlier. For the first time in my career, I was financially stable. Now to recap, shooting for the most desirable or the highest paying job is often more risky than going for a lesser job, just because of your competition and your qualifications. Second, firm name at the early stages makes a huge difference. And finally, getting a less desirable role at a good firm could be really awesome. But make sure the role has some good financial exposure. Make sure you do a great job. Make sure you network a lot. Don't ask people while networking for a job. That's bad. Just get your name out there and learn about all the other opportunities that exist within your organization. And finally, figure out your strategy. Often leaving that good name firm with not such a great job can result in a massive bump, plus you move to a position that's more front office-y and you get more exposure to the finance of it all. And then if you decide to leave that second job at some point, as I did, once again, now you have the big brand name under your belt, you have excellent front office experience under your belt, and you can make another tremendous move. It doesn't always work the same way it did for me. You won't always come back. In fact, most times you won't go back to the same firm. But still, it's pretty cool how you can move from that less desirable role to a really awesome job and get a huge salary increase. Now, one word of caution. You can't do this too often because you'll be more of a liability. If you try to pull this off like 2 or 3 times, you're going to have moved in just 5 or 6 years 4 times. And anybody hiring you, no matter how good your story is going to think that you're going to bounce after a year, year and a half. So I would say do it once early in your career and be very calculated in how you do it. Please let me know in the comments below if you found this helpful, or if you have any specific scenarios or questions on this topic that you'd like me to address. I'll answer them in the comments. Hopefully I can help you out. Good luck, and I'll see you all next week.